In the first sections of Basti, penned by Intizar Hussain, the story gradually reveals a realm that is simultaneously modern and ancient. Here, the central character, a youthful lad, finds himself entranced by the marvels of the natural world, including the timeless mysteries embodied by creatures like blue jays, woodpeckers, peacocks, and elephants. This narrative elegantly weaves together the boy's pure curiosity with the rich tapestry of cultural and religious tales imparted by significant individuals in his existence, such as Bhagat Ji and Abba Jan. The young boy's enchantment with nature sparks introspective dialogues with his grandmother, by Amma, and Bhagat Ji. Bhagat Ji, distinguished by his sacred thread and caste mark, narrates stories from the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, skillfully merging mythology with tangible experiences. Meanwhile, Abba Jan, a pensive presence devoted to prayer, shares profound insights on the intricacies of existence, frequently drawing upon the teachings of the Prophet to illuminate discussions on life and mortality. The story takes on a poignant tone as the town of Roopnagar confronts the repercussions of partition and the subsequent shifts in politics and society. The boy observes the turmoil, listens to the chants echoing outside, and lives through the metamorphosis of the town amidst turbulent times. The installation of electric poles, initially heralded as a sign of advancement, eventually becomes a forgotten artifact amidst the dust-laden streets of the transformed town. As the narrative unfolds, the town is besieged by a harrowing plague. The story meticulously describes the outbreak, the rising death toll, and the pervasive fear that envelopes the community. Despite Bai Amma's efforts to shelter the boy from the grim truth, the plague proves to be an indiscriminate scourge, claiming lives without regard for religious differences. The formerly lively town plunges into gloom and desolation, where funeral processions now haunt the streets with chilling regularity. The narrative poignantly depicts the emotional devastation wrought by the plague, portraying the streets cloaked in desolation and grief. Despite warnings to stay indoors, the boy's innate curiosity prevails, compelling him to witness the unfolding tragedy. In the midst of despair, Bai Amma is granted a glimmer of hope, a vision of the Imam's coach arriving, symbolizing a divine intervention to halt the plague. Word quickly spreads, and the town is engulfed in a shared sense of relief and gratitude. When Dr. Joshi declares that the disease has been contained, Bai Amma is overcome with tears of joy, marking a pivotal moment in the story. The introduction of electricity brings notable transformations to the town of Roopnagar. While the installation of electric poles initially sparks excitement, it also brings unforeseen consequences. Monkeys, once prevalent in the area, meet tragic fates as they encounter the newly electrified wires. Their attempts to navigate this altered landscape result in fatal outcomes, marking a significant shift in the town's dynamics. With the vanishing of the monkeys, Roopnagar welcomes the era of electricity. Once bustling parapets and rooftops fall silent, replaced by birds finding new roosts on the electric wires. The narrative encapsulates the profound influence of modernization on a small town, characterized by a blend of awe and unexpected outcomes. The narrative progresses with Zakir reminiscing about the deserted forest neighboring the Black Temple. He vividly portrays the enigmatic and desolate environment permeated by the unsettling silence of the woods. As Zakir, Bundu, and Habib venture into the vicinity, they chance upon a lone figure near the fort, instilling fear and compelling them to hastily retreat. Subsequently, the focus of the narrative turns to the arrival of Sabira, Khala Jan's daughter, who takes up residence in Zakir's home. Zakir's encounters with Sabira gradually alter his nomadic tendencies. Additionally, the story explores Abba Jan's reminiscences of bygone times, notably the Khilafat movement, underscoring the disparity between the contemporary political unrest and the refined ambience of that period. Abba Jan fondly recalls the orderly and dignified demeanor of rallies from the Khilafat movement. Meanwhile, Zakir finds himself lost in contemplation, sensing a distant call tugging at him. The narrative encapsulates a mixture of nostalgia, apprehension, and the repercussions of shifting times on the inhabitants of Roopnagar. The story begins with Tahira delighting in swings amidst the rainy season. Zakir's connection with Sabira takes center stage as they engage in playful exchanges. The focus then shifts to Janmashtami night, where the characters revel in the allure of the rain and the festivities. Zakir, Bundu, and Habib seize the opportunity to catch rainbugs and explore their surroundings, nurturing a sense of awe and curiosity. The ambience shifts when Majnu, a figure from the fabled tale of Laila Majnu, makes an entrance. He stages a dramatic scene, feigning injury, which moves Sabira to tears as she genuinely believes Majnu is wounded. Subsequently, they engage in a conversation about a nearby theatre adaptation of Laila Majnu, but awkwardness arises, prompting Sabira to temporarily withdraw from her closeness with Zakir. The narrative unfolds with an incident where crows congregate on Vasanti's roof, prompting Zakir to spin imaginative tales about the crows tidying Ramchandarji's leaf plates. While Sabira is initially doubtful, she eventually shares Zakir's story with Bai Amma, underscoring the delightful mix of playful innocence and cultural richness in the characters' experiences. In the latter part of Chapter 1, the story transitions to a period following Bai Amma's death and Abba Jan's struggle against modern changes in Roopnagar. Bai Amma's health deteriorates, and despite Abba Jan's resistance, electricity is eventually installed in the mosque. Ultimately, Bai Amma succumbs to her illness. Abba Jan's steadfast opposition to several modernizations, like electric lighting and drums in Muharram processions, represents a resistance to the evolving era. Nonetheless, his authority diminishes, leading him to withdraw to his chamber, where he prays in solitude. Eventually, Abba Jan opts to relocate to Vyaspur, where other relatives live. Zakir, who once roamed as a child in Roopnagar, now experiences the transition from youth to maturity, bidding farewell to the familiar scenes and sounds of his native town. The story delves into the increasing societal tensions portrayed through ideological arguments that frequently spiral into interpersonal disputes. The cremation ground and an enigmatic banyan tree in Roopnagar serve as emblems of a bygone mythical era. Zakir's move to Vyaspur exposes him to novel technologies like automobiles, trucks, and trains, emblematic of the swift modernization unfolding in his surroundings. As the family gets ready to relocate, Zakir's enthusiasm stands in stark contrast to Sabira's melancholy. Sabira, once Zakir's playmate in Roopnagar, now grapples with the impending separation. The once mysterious and intriguing burning ground is supplanted by the unfamiliarity of urban existence in Vyaspur. The narrative persists in examining the conflict between tradition and modernity, with Zakir's journey symbolizing the struggle to adapt to a shifting world while reconciling with memories of yesteryears. It delves into the disparity between Rupnagar's simplicity and Vyaspur's intricacy, underscoring how societal changes affect individuals and their perceptions of their environment. Subsequently, the story progresses as Zakir witnesses the sharp disparity between the bustling activity and clamor of Vyaspur's market and the peaceful quietude enveloping Khan Bahadur uncle's residence. This serenity is intermittently interrupted solely by the distant rumble of passing trains. The house, initially designated for Khan Bahadur uncle's retirement, now stands as a poignant reminder of his absence, as he departed before having the chance to relish it. Chacha Jan captivates the family with anecdotes of Khan Bahadur uncle's audacious feats as a rebel who cunningly infiltrated a rebel committee, ultimately outmaneuvering them. These tales paint Khan Bahadur uncle as a legendary figure renowned for apprehending infamous individuals such as Sultana the Brigand and the Silk Handkerchief Gang, who plotted to topple British rule. Infusing an air of marvel, Chacha Jan discloses that Khan Bahadur uncle sported a silver leg, acquired from a daring leap off a moving train during the pursuit of Sultana the Brigand. The family, Zakir included, listens in wonder, regarding these stories as legendary tales of a mythical hero. Chacha Jan underscores Khan Bahadur uncle's substantial contributions to the English, evoking profound respect, even from the viceroy upon his passing. In the midst of the storytelling, Chacha Jan gently probes Zakir about his ambitions and diligence, drawing parallels to the industrious nature of Khan Bahadur uncle. He underscores Khan Bahadur's commitment to learning, recounting an episode where he utilized fireflies attached to buy a mass scarf for illumination when his lantern depleted its oil. This highlights the sacrifices and perseverance Khan Bahadur uncle poured into his education, ultimately resulting in his remarkable feat of securing the top position in the matriculation exam for the entire United Provinces. The chapter effectively portrays the overarching theme of juxtaposing environments, the lively, contemporary Vyaspur with its glamorous marketplace juxtaposed against the serene, conventional ambience within Khan Bahadur uncle's residence. Furthermore, it delves into the legacy of an extraordinary individual whose narratives evoke both reverence and a feeling of obligation within Zakir. Zakir immerses himself in preparation for the matriculation exam, frequently dedicating nights alongside Surinder beneath a mango tree within the deserted school premises. The quietness, devoid of typical school hustle and bustle, fosters an ideal setting for focused study. Surender's vivid descriptions transport Zakir into the realm of Meerut and the English milieu of the cantonment. Their conversations delve into speculative topics like Hitler's hypothetical powder to calm the ocean, with the setting providing a fitting backdrop for their lively discussions. Amid the tumult of India's Quit India movement spreading through the college, Zakir finds himself engulfed in a turbulent atmosphere marked by chants, shattered windows, and the arrival of mounted police. Undaunted by the commotion, Professor Mukherjee perseveres with his lectures, resolute in his commitment to teaching despite the chaos unfolding around them. Upon his return to Vyaspur for the break, Zakir is greeted by the sweltering heat and a transformed ambience. The streets are lined with shadows, while women engage in spinning and conversation. Surender introduces Zakir to Rimjim, igniting a newfound curiosity that Surender nurtures, guiding him in the art of observing a young woman. While visiting Roopnagar, Zakir re-encounters the familiar sights and acquaintances, observing the alterations in his childhood companions. The presence of electric poles and wires, alongside monkeys skillfully navigating them, serves as a symbolic representation of Roopnagar's modernization. Witnessing his cousin Tahira's transformation into a woman, Zakir contends with unfamiliar emotions and a sense of embarrassment. The chapter subtly delves into Zakir's shifting understanding of the familiar and the transformations occurring within him. His interaction with Tahira prompts deep introspection, exposing internal turmoil and highlighting the influence of time on perceptions and relationships. As the Christmas break draws near, Zakir and Surender engage in conversations about Zakir's romantic encounters over the holiday, exchanging their perspectives on the matter. Surender urges Zakir to compose a letter to the girl he encountered, sparking a flurry of attempts by Zakir to articulate his thoughts on paper. Upon his return to the college following the vacation, Zakir is seized by the longing to visit Vyaspur during the upcoming Christmas break. Aware of potential train disruptions, Surender proposes they embark on the journey together. However, what was once a lively trip to Vyaspur is now characterized by an unsettling silence and signs of turmoil, such as the shuttered Jagat Talkies cinema hall. Upon their arrival, they discover Vyaspur has undergone a stark transformation, its streets deserted and strewn with scattered bricks. The atmosphere is charged with tension, prompting Zakir to grasp the seriousness of the situation. As they proceed to their respective neighborhoods, the friends bid each other farewell. Upon arriving home, Zakir discovers his mother in a state of agitation, alarmed by the disturbance at the rally ground. Seeking to alleviate her concerns, he reassures her that such occurrences are routine and attempts to downplay the situation. While observing the commotion outside, he ultimately convinces himself that it merely reflects the unrest characteristic of his era. The narrative depicts Zakir's unfolding journey, spanning from romantic encounters and letter writing to the unsettling shifts in Vyaspur and the upheaval during the rally. It illustrates the intertwining of personal anecdotes with the broader political and social context, weaving a vivid tapestry of Zakir's life during this period.